If someone were to ask you what your favorite platformer is, what would you say? A Mario game? Hollow Knight? Celeste? Maybe Castlevania or even Super Meat Boy? As for me, I would say Super Mario 64. It's Super Mario 64. But, if you were to ask me what my second favorite platformer is, it would be 2017's CUPHEAD. Now, if you're unfamiliar with video games, which I'm sure a lot of you aren't, but if you are, a platformer game is a type of game where the main gimmick is, well, platforming. So instead of games like Fortnite, which is a first-person shooter game, or Outer Wilds, which is a story-based game, CUPHEAD is a platformer, and a difficult one at that. When CUPHEAD first came out in 2017, the difficulty of this game was unmatched by a lot of things that were coming out at the time, which led a lot of people to call and label this as a rage game, which is a term used for games that were made for the purpose of getting you angry, like getting over it.
I swear I was dead! Oh my god! I'm done! Oh god! Fuck! Oh my god!
Or pogo stuck.
Oh shit.
But while, yeah, CUPHEAD's difficulty leads to a lot of rage-inducing moments, this is a phenomenally designed and well-made game that had so much effort and passion put into it. Everything is hand-drawn and the music is simply incredible. The old aesthetic of the game adds so much to the vibe, and all these things, plus the incredible gameplay, makes this a new top 5 game I've ever played. But up until recently, I had never played this game before. I was always pushed back by how difficult this game was. A lot of my friends said that they were never able to beat it, and I just never tried it. But for some reason, I changed my mind and finally caved and bought it a couple weeks ago, and decided to play it for the first time. And today, I'm going to take you on that journey and show you how I overcame one of the most difficult platformers of the decade. Going into this, I had no clue what my plans and strategies were, other than very few things I remember from Markiplier's playthrough, and I watched the Bones5's video on his CUPHEAD no-hit run, so I remembered very few strategies, but mainly only which weapons to use, which we'll get into. The story of CUPHEAD is very simple. CUPHEAD and his pal Mugman go gambling and lose their souls to the devil. Not wanting to give the devil their souls, he sends them on a mission to collect the souls of his runaway debtors. And, well, that's the story of CUPHEAD. Which has always been really funny to me that CUPHEAD is basically the villain of the story. I mean, he gambles and loses and then steals the souls of all these bosses just to save himself. It's easy to forget that you're the one actually attacking these bosses.
Hey, that's just a theory!
So, I went through the tutorial, got 3 coins from this apple dude, and headed to Porkrind's Emporium to buy my first upgrade, the Smoke Bomb. The Smoke Bomb is a charm that allows you to dash through obstacles without taking a hit. After that, I headed over to my first run-and-gun level, Forest Follies. This first level is one of the 6 run-and-gun levels, which are your typical platformer levels. Going into this, I thought I was gonna sweep the floor with this level because I am a damn good Mario player. But yeah, this kinda took me like 15 minutes, which might not seem bad, but think about the first level in a Mario game. Those typically take, I don't know, all but 2 minutes, and you can do it with your eyes closed, basically. So this taking me a while really shocked me. One of my biggest problems was the parrying, which in CUPHEAD is an obstacle that you can bounce off of and destroy, which I was screwing up quite a bit. There's also 5 coins in each run-and-gun level, but they are not that hard to find or collect. But eventually, I did pull through and complete the level.
Oh my god, let's go. Oh, finally, Jesus. It took 20 minutes, bro. Wow. That was nuts, bro. Oh my god.
Then, I went back to Porkrind's to buy our first weapon, the Spread Shot. This is your typical game shotgun where it spreads multiple shots, but it's very short range, so you have to be right next to your enemy to kill them. I wasn't sure how to get to the next run-and-gun level, which I knew I could because of the Bones5 video, but I just couldn't figure out how to get there. Now I know you can literally just walk around here, but whatever. I also didn't know which boss to go to first, so instead I went to Mausoleum 1. There are 3 mausoleums in the game, which consists of you simply parrying every ghost to make sure they don't reach this vase. After beating it, you unlock a super art. The first super art allows you to project a massive beam of damage on your opponent, so yeah, that'll definitely be useful. After completing Mausoleum 1, I headed to my very first boss, the Root Pack in Botanic Panic. The Root Pack consists of 3 mini-bosses, Sal Sputter the Potato, Ollie Bulb the Onion, and Chauncey Chardonnay the Carrot. Oh, by the way, I'm fighting every boss in regular, not simple. But even still, this boss is very easy. In my opinion, the easiest boss in the game, even for my noob level. In the first phase, Sal will slowly spit out dirt, and on the fourth will be a parryable worm. Just spam your spread shot on him and he'll go down. The same can be done with the second phase. Ollie will be stationary and will just cry out. Just dodge his tears and spam your spread, and you might notice some of the tears you can parry. I recommend not doing it though, just because the tears have no specific pattern like Sal's do, and parrying items from below is much harder than just jumping on them. After Ollie is the hardest phase. Chauncey is what's called a background boss, where he can't damage you if you touch him, meaning you can abuse the crap out of spread. Just watch out for his carrot projectiles and his eye beam, and with that, the Root Pack is complete.
Finally. Woohoo! Oh, I didn't get hit. I only got 2 parries though, I think. Yeah. Super meter, what is that? I don't know what that means.
This fight is pretty damn easy, all things considered. Even in my noob ways, I only died to the Root Pack once and then had a no hit on the winning run. In my opinion, this is a fantastic first boss in the game. It's fairly easy and it does a great job of teaching you a lot of the different mechanics in the game. And also, the music is absolutely banging. So, after completing them, I headed to my next boss, Goopy Legrande in Ruse of an Ooze. Goopy Legrande, and yes, it's grande. Look at that E on the end. That does not make it grand, that makes it grande, alright? This is usually considered the easiest boss in the game, but in my opinion, the Root Pack is still easier. I just think Goopy has a more complex moveset and overall just harder to dodge when he attacks. Now, he still isn't like that hard, I just think he's harder than the Root Pack. Goopy has 3 phases, and his first phase is pretty simple. Goopy will jump around and, well, that's it. Actually, no, he will also do this head bump attack that you can very easily dodge by just ducking. After that phase, he will suck his thumb or something like that and grow super big. Also, these little question marks are the only parryable things in the fight, so make sure you get all of these. This big phase is the reason I think the fight is harder than the Root Pack. I personally just found his jump pattern to be super tricky to predict here. He also did this punch attack, but like his previous phase, you can duck under it. Once you damage him enough, he'll transform into a grave, and this is the easiest phase in my opinion. You can just shoot at him until he goes for an attack and simply dash away. Very simple, and that's Goopy Legrande defeated.
Bang! Yes. Oh my god, dude. Jesus. Wow. Good lord.
Even with the simplicity, this fight still took me around 10 minutes. Yes, I know I'm trash. Anyways, after beating Goopy, I headed down to my next fight, Ribby and Croaks and Clip Joint Calamity. Ribby and Croaks are the toughest duo in gaming, let's be so for real. But also, in my opinion, they are the hardest boss in World 1. The fight starts with Ribby and Croaks going back and forth between their own attacks. Croaks will spit fireflies out of his mouth, which is a great pun, as they are literally flies on fire. I love that. But they don't pose much of a threat at all. Ribby has the much harder attack to dodge, as he shoots fist projectiles at you. This was hard for me to comprehend at first because I didn't go to the second running gun level earlier to get the roundabout weapon. The pea shooter is the weapon I had to use to damage Ribby during this attack. It can also be pretty tricky to pull off these parries. The next phase is Ribby shooting, the balls, I don't know, at you while Croaks turns himself into a fan and tries to push you into them. This is really easy though, just don't jump over them and you should be fine. Their final phase is the reason why I think this is the hardest fight in World 1. They turn into a slot machine, and first it will spit out coins, which for some stupid reason are super fucking hard to avoid. Parry the lever and you get a 2 out of 3 chance of this attack being easy. You have the possibility of rolling either bulls, snakes, or leopards. Bulls and snakes are free. As bulls you just look if you need to jump or go under the spike things, and snakes is just a simple platforming challenge where you jump from one platform to the next. But leopards, on the other hand, is very difficult as you need to time your jumps perfectly, especially when you get to the end of the attack. Again, this is a phase where roundabout would be perfect, but unfortunately I don't have roundabout yet, so I had to stick to spread. But with all that, that's Ribby Croaks defeated.
Bang! Motherfucker. Yes! Oh my god. Holy shit. Wow. Man. Wowzer.
This has probably a top 5 song in the entire game in my opinion, and I absolutely love the backdrop in this fight. These guys took me about 25 minutes and they did actually give me quite a hassle. But after beating them, I headed to the next boss, Hildeberg in Threatenin' Zeppelin. Hildeberg is the first plane boss in the game and probably the easiest. I personally find the plane levels to be more consistent than the actual platform ground bosses. They just take a while for me to learn. Hildeberg has a ton of phases, with her first being pretty basic. She'll spit out her ha's at you, which I absolutely love. I think that's super creative. And also these little missile things will shoot bullets, with some being parryable. Once you do enough damage, she'll transform into Taurus. Just watch for Taurus to stop moving so you can dodge his attack. But be careful, it's a really quick attack and can really catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. After that, she'll choose to transform into either Gemini or Sagittarius. Gemini is the much easier attack, as they just spawn a simple orb that'll rotate that you have to avoid. Not bad. Sagittarius isn't that bad either, but definitely is harder. He'll shoot his bow and arrow at you and 3 stars that will follow you. It's not the worst, but the screen can definitely get cluttered by the stars and also the missile shooting at you. Then we get to our last phase, or moon phase. I recommend using your nuke here, as this can be the most difficult phase if you're not careful. There will be stars you have to avoid, with some being parryable, and these UFOs that project beams which you have to dodge. The UFOs also have different patterns, like the brown UFOs you have to wait for as they are set on a timed pattern, while the red ones are reactive, so when you go underneath it, it'll shoot, so you have to be quick with the red ones and slower with the brown ones. And with that, Hildeberg is defeated, the first plane boss.
Nice. Got her. Woo! Nice. Not bad at all. What does super meter mean? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Nice.
This fight only took me around 15 minutes, and while some attacks gave me trouble, I didn't think it was that bad. I then moved on to the next run and gun level, Treetop Trouble. Treetop Trouble is certainly a level that exists. I don't want to spend too much time on the run and gun levels because honestly, I just don't like them that much. Even though there are some bosses in this game I don't really like, which we will get to later, I still find them to be miles more fun than the run and gun levels. Now, these levels aren't necessarily bad, but compared to the masterpieces that are the bosses in this game, they just feel kinda stale, and they're the one part of the game I don't consider to be perfect. Anyways, the level starts and you gotta dodge some rolly dudes and some woodpeckers. This is, in my opinion, the hardest part of the level, as it's easy to mess up your smoke bomb timings. Then this tree climb segment, which is not too hard, just watch out for the beetles. Wait, the beetles? After that is this really easy platforming section, and finally there's this supposed boss fight, but I've never actually fought the motherfucker, as you can just jump over him to end the level. This one didn't even take as long as the last one, only taking me a little under 10 minutes.
Nice. Okay.
So let's just head and buy our next weapon, the roundabout, which is a awesome weapon which you can shoot and it'll go around the screen and hit your opponent. It's really useful. So let's head to our next and final boss in World 1, Cagney Carnation in Floral Fury. Cagney Carnation is definitely my favorite boss in Isle 1, and one of my favorites in the entire game, honestly. He's got a badass design, and his dancing just sends me. The song is also just so good. There is a reason why this is the most popular song in the game, and why this is the most popular boss in the game, and it's largely to do because of this banger of a soundtrack. He's also not too difficult either, only having 2 phases. The first phase has him cycle between 5 different attacks. His 2 different head attacks, either attacking up or down, his boomerang attack, which is pretty easy to dodge as you can simply duck under them, his carrot attack, which is also pretty easy to avoid, and finally his seed attack. Definitely the hardest of these. Mainly because when the seeds land, they blossom into smaller enemies and it's easy to slip up and take a hit by one of them. Also, always try and parry the pink seed, because if you don't, it will blossom into a whole ass flying bug of sorts, and it's just a clutterfuck if you miss it. After that is his second phase, where he blocks the floor and restricts you to only using the 3 platforms. He will randomly shoot his vines out on whichever platform the vines start to grow on. He will also spit out what appears to be pollen at you, and some of these are parryable. And after a little bit, he's dead. I thought he would be a little harder, seeing as he's usually the final boss of World 1. But he only took me around 10 minutes.
Bang! Yes! Wow.
And with that, I finished Inkwell Isle 1 of CUPHEAD. If I had to rank these bosses from easiest to hardest, it would be the Rupak, Guppy Le Grande, Cagney Carnation, Hildeberg, and easily the hardest is Ribby and Croaks. Now, if I had to rank them on an enjoyment scale, it would go as follows from worst to best. Guppy Le Grande, Ribby and Croaks, the Rupak, Hildeberg, and easily my favorite is of course Cagney Carnation. So, with all that, let's head on over to Inkwell Isle 2. Inkwell Isle 2 and CUPHEAD see some serious differences from Isle 1. For one, with the exception of one boss, I love every boss in this world. Also, the difficulty. Again, with the exception of one boss, I think every boss here, especially 2 of them, are up there with some of the hardest in the game. But we do indeed start with the easiest boss in Isle 2. By far, in my opinion, Jimmy the Great in Pyramid Peril. Jimmy is, for me, the easiest boss in Isle 2, despite him having 5 phases. I know a lot of people think Baroness von Bing Bong is the easiest in Isle 2, but we'll get to her later and I'll explain why I disagree. So, with Jimmy, we start with his first phase where he has 3 different attacks he can do: treasure, swords, or cats. Treasure seems to be the general consensus for the hardest one, but personally, I've never really found this attack to be too hard to dodge. Swords is ultra free, and cats for me is actually the hardest to dodge. These cat statues will spawn and break into 4 smaller cats that will home in on the player, with one of them sometimes being parryable. The challenge for me comes when he spawns 2 of these, because it can clutter the screen a lot, and I just found it to be the hardest to avoid. After that, the next phases are free. You have to break the pillar block with his face. Then, after that, is this weird phase where he shoots ghosts and these Saturn-looking attacks at you, but I never found this phase to be all that bad. There's also a way you can totally cheese this phase, but I just didn't know it at the time. After is, in my opinion, the hardest phase. Jimmy will transform himself into you and move his turban hat thingy around you. This phase is just so creative to me, and the community of CUPHEAD named this little puppet Cuphead Cuppet, which is just adorable in my opinion. Both the turban and Cuppet will shoot bullets, and it can get hectic really quick. Once you've taken that down is the last phase, which should be super hard, but fortunately I have a strategy. Always try and save a nuke for his last phase, as it skips a ton of it. Now, like I said, there were certain strategies from the Bones 5 video, which I do remember, and this was one of them. After that, just finish him off, and that's Jimmy defeated.
Bang! Motherfucker. Yes. Alright. Done. Jimmy's done. Oh, I didn't get the time, really. Hey, okay, A minus. Not bad, not bad. Huh?
While he is, in my opinion, super easy and only took me around 15 minutes, he is actually one of my favorite bosses in the game, as I just find his attacks to be really unique and interesting. After him, we do move on to the next boss, Baroness Von Bonbon in Sugarland Shimmy. But before we go to her, we need to pick up our next weapon, the Charge Shot, which absolutely obliterates bosses, as long as you're good with it, because this is probably the hardest weapon to get good with, but when you do master it, it absolutely desolates bosses. Okay, now I know a lot of people who think Baroness is the easiest boss in Isle 2, but I personally think she's kinda difficult. She has 4 phases, with her first being completely randomized, picking one of 5 bosses. Sorry, I don't know their names, but the Jawbreaker, Candy Corn, Gumball Machine, and the Waffle Dude are all pretty simple, especially with Charge, as they go down in like 3 or 4 shots.
To happen. Great, Gumball first.
However, the Cupcake Dude is easily the hardest of the 5 mini-bosses, especially if you get him on phase 2 or 3, because starting with phase 2, Baroness will add subtle attacks like these jelly beans on phase 2, and then a freaking shotgun blast on phase 3, and it can just clutter the screen so much, especially with the Cupcake's unique and spastic movement pattern and weird hitboxes. It can just be really difficult to get through his segment. Phase 4, however, is easily the hardest phase and why I don't think this is the easiest boss in World 2. You are forced to move backwards and dodge your head spinning at you, which tracks you every second, so you have to be constantly moving. Throw in a mix of the massive peppermint that rolls, which can be parried, but I didn't know that at the time, and I just really struggled with this boss. But that is Baroness Von Bing Bong in a nutshell, and if you can get through all that, you've taken down the next boss.
Bang! Oh my god. Fuck it. Oh my god.
She had easily taken the longest so far of any boss, taking me almost 30 minutes. But with that done, we head to our next run and gun level, Funfair Fever. Yeah, this level's not actually too bad. There's a couple of fun platformer moments, like this first part with the trampoline. After that, it's nothing too special until this part with these platforms that will collapse if a ball hits. This part tripped me up for a while until I realized the balls moved in an up and down pattern. After that, this mini boss that can be taken down in 3 charge shots. Then this final moment is super annoying due to dodging these pretzel dudes while this fat hot dog throws sauces at you. But, I mean, that's the level completed.
Nice.
This one embarrassingly took me about 20 minutes, but before we get to our next boss, we have to take our next mausoleum to get Super Art 2, which we will absolutely be using. The actual level isn't too bad other than these new spinning ghosts, but once you beat it, you get the Super Art of Invincibility, which we will definitely be utilizing, but unfortunately not for our next boss, Wally Warbles in Aviary Action. Oh gosh, Wally was the first boss that took me a long time, and easily the hardest boss up to this point. He easily has the hardest moves and attacks up to this point. He's got 4 phases, and I had a really hard time getting used to his first phase for the longest time. His egg attacks personally would trip me up so hard. I would dodge the broken shells, but then I'd immediately get hit by another one because of Wally's crazy spit game. He also does this bullet attack, but they're nowhere near as deadly as the egg attack. There's also these birds with one of them in each line being parryable, but man, the egg attack really got on my nerves. Yeah, okay. I know what you guys are probably yelling at the screen right now, but I really didn't realize until 20 minutes into fighting this boss that you can literally just camp at the back wall and avoid every single eggshell.
Look, if you just like stay here when he shoots an egg, you can't get hit. Bro, how did I not ever see that? That actually defeats all of the difficulty. How did I miss that?
This increased my consistency so much getting to the third phase because, yeah, the second phase is ultra free. It's just a standard bullet hell moment, but it's truly way easier than it looks. His third phase sees Willy come out and attack. This phase always tripped me up. I had heard he was a totally scripted fight, but I swear to God he's not. But looking back at the gameplay, he kinda is scripted. I'm just bad apparently. He does do a different movement pattern with his banana-like rotation going from either the bottom left to bottom right or the top right to the top left. So it's not completely scripted, but whichever one you get, it's the same thing over and over again. You just have to master both of those rotations. But for a noob like me, it was really hard because I never truly learned the pattern yet. So this was easily my most inconsistent phase. There's not much I can say other than just be good. After you take out Willy, Wally's final phase isn't too bad as long as you know the strategy, which I didn't because I didn't look up anything and I went in with my own strategies, and I didn't remember the one from the Bones video, so I didn't know it. But even still, my strategy was to just camp at the top and rain down bombs on the dude, and I just had to get lucky once. And with that, Wally's down.
Bang, 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 bang. Yes! Oh my god. Stupid. Yeah, give me that A, baby. Holy crap. My god, dude.
Wally had easily taken me the most time so far, almost taking 40 minutes to defeat. Thankfully though, we have another middle tier boss next, Beppy the Clown in Carnival Kerfuffle. Beppy is interesting because in my opinion he has no easy phases, but he also has no super difficult phases. It's all a pretty consistent difficulty. His first phase just sees him riding his cart back and forth. Just dash through them with your smoke bomb and watch out for the ducks that drop the light bulbs. This might not seem awful, and it's really not, but I honestly found it to be kind of hard to time my dashes. The next phase is probably the hardest, as there's a lot of crowd control. The only good thing in this phase is the fact that Beppy is a background boss, which will not be the last time in this fight. After that is his donkey phase, which as long as you get good coaster RNG, it's pretty easy all things considered. But if you get bad coaster RNG, this phase can be a nightmare, and near impossible to do no hit of. The final phase is easy as long as you know the right strategy, which I didn't. For some reason, I would pop my invincibility when the coaster comes. What you should do is just jump on the platform and pop your invincibility when the actual threat of the penguins come out, and that'll basically end the fight. But since I'm an idiot, I had to fight the penguins every time because it never clicked with me to just wait for it and use it on the hard part. Anyways, that's Beppy down.
Oh my god, I was literally about to die. Oh my god, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Boo boo. Yes.
I do absolutely love the clown aesthetic of this fight, and again, the music choice in this fight is absolutely impeccable. And he only took me about 20 minutes to do. With only one boss left in World 2, you think there's nothing that could slow me down. But alas, we have another run and gun, Funhouse Frazzle. Alright, let's just get this over with. Alright, let's go quick. The level has a gimmick where you can flip yourself upside down and right side up for certain situations. This one is way easier than the last one and only took me like 6 minutes. So let's go to what you actually want me to talk about. Our next boss, Grim Matchstick in Fiery Frolic. Grim is the first boss in which I would put in the big 3, and that's the 3 hardest bosses in the game. And in my opinion, Grim is arguably the hardest boss in Cuphead. This is also a good time to say that I do not use the lobber in this fight because I had never seen it and I didn't know what it was at this time. I also tried a much harder strategy for a long time that made phase 2 way harder, so this might not be super hard if I had the right strategy, but I didn't know any good strategies for Grim. His first phase, in my opinion, is the easiest phase. He just takes a long ass time to get through his first phase. This is also the only phase with parryable things, so just dodge the fireball and his tail and you're good. The hardest part of this phase, which is a consistent thing in the fight, is the platforms. Since there's no solid platform under you, you can get really unlucky with cloud placement. The second phase is horrible. At least with my strategy I tried. I wanted to get better at aiming with the charge shot, so I tried to get through this phase with the charge. And this wouldn't be a problem if not for the f***ing imps on the bottom which randomly jump up at you. The problem for me wasn't necessarily dodging them, it was me accidentally jumping down through the clouds because I have to look down to aim and hit Grim. But when I would see an imp about to jump, my first instinct is to immediately press A to jump, which doesn't let me jump, but instead fall right through the cloud onto the tongue. This was a brutal boss to try and get consistent at, but man, I simply couldn't do it. So I caved and equipped the Chaser. I know this is a very divisive weapon, and I know it's the noob weapon, but I don't really care. Basically, the Chaser is a weapon which does really low damage, but will track your target. So that's why people call it the bad weapon. After that, phase 3 is somehow even worse. Grim will grow 3 heads and spit these fireballs at you. The problem is if you shoot these fireballs, they erupt into 4 smaller projectiles, and these balls move fast. I would always dodge one, and then get charged for a shot, and then shoot. But one of this dude's 3 heads would of course spit out a fireball right as I'm shooting, and it would get me demolished. His fire breath attack isn't too bad, just stand up as high as you can. And with many attempts and patience, I was finally able to take down Grim Matchstick.
Cool, motherfucker. Oh god, that one. It took me like an hour. Oh my god.
Grim took me about an hour, the first of only 2 bosses that ever took me an hour. And with that, Inkwell Isle 2 is done. Now, ranking the bosses from easiest to hardest probably goes Jimmy the Great, Baroness Von Bing Bong, Beppy the Clown, Wally Warbles, and easily Grim Matchstick at number 1. Now, on enjoyment level from worst to best, it goes as follows. Baroness is definitely my least favorite, then Beppy, then Grim, then Wally, and my favorite easily is Jimmy the Great. And with that, we are officially on to Inkwell Isle 3. For starts, Inkwell Isle 3 is probably the hardest world in all of Cuphead, as while, yeah, it has some pretty easy bosses, it also has some of the game's hardest. It also is probably my least favorite world, as some of the bosses are just not that great compared to the other worlds, and it also is home to the worst boss in the whole game. Oh, hey, speaking of the worst boss in the whole game, we're starting with her, Rumor Honeybottoms and Honeycomb Harold. Rumor is easily my least favorite boss in the game, which is a sentiment I will probably go into later in the video, but we'll start pretty simple. On her own, not going for anything particular like hitless or expert, I don't find Rumor to be that hard of a boss, although I would still probably put her in that big 3 I was talking about along with Grim and the Devil, which we will get to much later. Her first phase is usually free unless you're going for the parries, This phase also just feels super disconnected to the rest of the fight because you're fighting a police bee and not Rumor herself, which always felt really weird to me. I also find these worker bees who look absolutely depressed really funny. Her second phase is not too bad aside from the bullet bill segment. The platform RG can really screw you over in this particular attack. Her triangle attack is also pretty hard, and her circle attack is basically free. Her third phase is a nightmare, and I am not good at it at all. She turned into a plane, and that is super hard because you have to look down to shoot her, but when you try to jump up, I run into the same problems I did with Grim, where you have to jump up while shooting down, and it's way easier here to accidentally fall through the platforms, and it's miserable. So yeah, I used the chaser shot. Now, you might have been like, Brady, it doesn't seem that bad of a boss, maybe it's just a skill issue. Well, I mentioned something earlier that absolutely defines this boss as the one fight that I constantly feel it is unfair when I lose, and it's all due to the platform RNG. In this boss, the platforms are randomized, and for a vertical auto-scroller, that is a horrible gameplay design. It makes for an infuriating boss fight that, trust me, we'll be seeing later. It did only take me 20 minutes, but again, I didn't try to do anything special with this like do it hitless. So yes, I did beat Rumor.
Didn't even take that long. That one took like 20 minutes. Not even. Nice. Under 2 minutes. Only parried one thing, yeah. Yikes. There's not a lot of parries, bro.
But yes, that is Rumor in a nutshell. Let's head on to our next run and gun, Rugged Ridge. You know what? I don't mind this one. In fact, I actually like this one. I like the platform part and the final platform challenge with the sassiest looking enemy I've ever seen. Not much to say. It's a good run and gun. Not bad. Yeah, we're moving on quick. Let's head on to our next boss, Werner Vermin in Marine Corps. This is one of the easier bosses in Isle 3, but I also really like this one. It just took me a minute to figure it out, especially the second phase, but the first phase sees Werner throw a couple attacks at you. The cherry bombs, which I love, are probably his hardest attack in the first phase, because when they hit the floor they break into 2 more projectiles and it can be tricky to dodge. His catapult attack is super easy and will give you a ton of parries, and his charge attack is really easy as long as you have the smoke bomb. But even without it, it's not too bad. His second phase is definitely the hardest, as you gotta watch for which level he's on to avoid his fire, as well as the bottle caps attack on the sides. It can get pretty overwhelming, so just be careful. His third phase is also pretty light, as the cat just does a few attacks like the ghosts, the nail boards, and his claw attack, all of which are pretty simple to avoid. And with that, Werner Vermin is defeated.
Oh no. I was so close to getting it. No hits, damn. Okay, that dude was pretty easy. Hey, that guy was easy.
Werner only took me around 15 minutes, and despite not being my favorite boss gameplay-wise, the concept of the level with the Tom and Jerry parody is really fun to me. I also just love how the cat is revealed to be one of Werner's just insane inventions, and I just think that's super funny. Now, before we head to our next boss, we have to go to the final mausoleum, which isn't much harder than the rest, but we get this new super, which is this ghost one, which I never used personally. But now let's head to our next boss, Dr. Cal's robot in Junkyard Jive. Dr. Cal is widely considered to be one of, if not the hardest boss in all of CUPHEAD, which I can definitely see why. I don't know if he personally takes that title for me, not even making it into the top 3 probably, but I will say he is easily one of my favorite bosses in the game. I know that is a super hot take, as a lot of people hate Dr. Cal, but I'm gonna tell this right now, that is a skill issue. Get good, plebs. Starting the fight is his first phase, which is probably one of the hardest phases technical-wise in the entire game. You have to take out his antenna, his chest piece, and the stomach vent. Not knowing any strategies going into this really stunk, and I ended up going with the worst possible strategy. The usual strategy is to go for the antenna first, then the vent, and then the chest piece. But I went for the chest piece first, then the antenna, then the vent. This was super stupid because after you destroy each piece, it transforms into a different attack. The chest piece is easily the hardest as it transforms and he turns his arms into more attacks like this bullet hell one and the magnet one, which is horrible. The antenna should be the first one to destroy as the second attack is a simple bullet hell of bolts and nuts, which it's not too bad. The vent piece should also be taken out as early as possible as these missiles can clutter the screen so easily, and the second attack are these massive bombs, and watch out for them because their explosion is humongous. After you take out the 3 parts, the robot's heart pops out and you just have to shoot it. I recommend using your nuke to take out the heart as quickly as possible. I actually don't recommend this, and we'll get into reason why later down in the video, but that's just what I did for right now. His second phase is really unique, where it makes you use bombs to stay consistent in damage because of the massive bombs. The reason why I don't recommend using your nuke in the last phase is so that you can pretty much entirely skip this phase, but again, we'll get to that later. His next phase has a 50-50 chance of being not that bad or pretty hard. He has a chance of pulling out either a red or blue gem. The blue gem isn't horrible as it shoots 6 pieces per blast, while the red one shoots 8 pieces per blast. But in total, I really like this phase, as I really like this type of bullet hell gameplay, and I love the way Cal is just maniacally laughing the whole time. I love the song for this one too, as it repeats the same thing over and over again, making you feel exhausted, and it's just a battle of triumph and persecution, and then when you beat it, it is so satisfying. I find Dr. Cal to be one of the most satisfying bosses in the entire game, and mechanically super challenging, which is why I love him so much. And with all that, that is Dr. Cal defeated.
No hit. No hit. No hit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. No. I just perfect scored Dr. Cal!
Despite Cal being one of the most technical and skill-based bosses in the game, he actually only took me around 30 to 35 minutes. I think his phases are all so much fun, and I just love the mad scientist theme of it all. But enough of Cal, let's head on to our next boss, Sally Stageplay in Dramatic Fanatic. Sally is one of the best stories in the game. It shows her being interrupted during her wedding in her first phase, then her home life, and then you kill her in the second phase. Then in her third phase, she's a literal goddess. And then her big stage finale is her as an angel as the audience cheers her on for the play. Now, why am I saying all this? Well, because while I love the story and theme, I'm literally a theater and cinema kid, what do you think? I personally find the actual fight really dull. You just shoot her right next to her, and that's it. The first 3 phases, you can stand right up to her and destroy her. Her fourth is the only unique phase, and it's pretty good. But honestly, apart from the story which hard carries this boss, the gameplay is nothing too special. It's not bad, but just not that memorable. So I took down Sally with relative ease.
I'm so good. I only got 1 pick, really? Or 2? I'll take it. Alright.
She only took me around 10 to 15 minutes to beat, and let's just go on to our next boss, Captain Brinybeard in Shootin' and Lootin'. Captain Brinybeard is, in my opinion, the easiest boss in Aisle 3. He has pretty simple attack patterns and only has like one difficult attack to dodge. And in this first playthrough, I fight his last phase in the worst possible way, but we'll get there. His first phase has multiple parts where he increasingly gets a little harder. The first thing to watch out for is the barrel above you, which will drop down at you when it looks mad and you run under it. Briny will sit on top of the ship and shoot his octopus gun at you. These projectiles are pretty easy and can get you a ton of parries. He will then call out 3 different sea animal attacks. The shark, which you can simply walk up to the boat to dodge. The squid, which you just kill before he inks you, but even if he does, it doesn't really affect that much. It's basically the same thing as the blooper item from Mario Kart. Pretty useless. Then the sea dogs are pretty easy to jump over. The only problem is when Brinybeard's boat starts to shoot out cannonballs at you, which mixed with these attacks could overwhelm the screen. But I don't know, just be good. His second phase sees his boat take matters into his own hands as he chucks Brinybeard off the boat and into the ocean. I find this absolutely hilarious and I absolutely love it. The ship's phase is really easy as long as you know the strategy, which I remembered half of from the Bones' videos, where you can duck under the fireballs and the laser by ducking right here. And when the barrel comes down, you can dash right here and the fireballs will still miss you. Unfortunately, I'm not good, so doing the crouch dash was pretty tricky for me. Also, I did not bring Roundabout here, which is the optimal weapon for this phase, which will completely obliterate it. But instead, I switched between Charge and Spread, which was way harder. But even with me making this phase so much harder, I defeated him in a little over 10 minutes.
Okay, not that long. Took a little over 10 minutes. Okay. I'll take it. I could do it better. I just gotta be better at the game, you know?
I personally really like this fight though. I think it's a ton of fun, and I seriously cannot stress enough how funny I think it is that Brinybeard gets chucked off. But with him down, let's head to our final run and gun level, Perilous Piers. This is easily the hardest run and gun level in my opinion, mainly because of the stupid fish RNG. So stupid, stupid, stupid. You can get absolutely demolished by the fish spawns where they can be right in your way. And the stupid crab area sucks. The only part I actually like is this bridge section with the massive lobster that chases you. It's challenging, but I actually like the challenge here. And then the final section is literal hell. Just look at this. This is deadass probably one of the hardest sections in the entire game to get through hitless. So while this is probably the hardest running gun, it's also just my least favorite. I also had to beat this one twice because I missed the 4th coin because I didn't know I missed it. I spent 45 minutes on this one level.
Yeah, if I wasn't lagging, I actually could have done that without getting hit once. Are you serious? Oh, I only got whatever. Oh, what? I don't really care. Jesus Christ. All right.
So yeah, I don't like this level. But let's head to our next boss, Calamaria in High Seas Hijinks. Calamaria is, a pretty difficult boss that has 2 phases that I adore and 1 phase that I cannot stand. Her first phase is a ton of fun while being incredibly challenging. She has 6 different attacks she can do from 2 different groups. One group of 3 will be direct attacks from Cala herself, a red fish where the fish just spits out some fireballs, some being parryable, a yellow fish which tracks the player's movement, and her ghosts, which will just home on to the player. Then the remaining 3 attacks are attacks that she summons from the sea, either pufferfish, which move up and down and can have random spawns, a turtle, which shoots out bullets, or a seahorse, which shoots out a geyser of water to push you upwards. Now, all of these attacks individually are not hard at all to dodge, but Cala will combine 2 of them from the 2 groups. Combining these attacks can be very challenging, but once you master each of the combinations, it becomes more consistent. Easily the hardest attack pattern, in my opinion, is the pufferfish mixed with the ghosts, because you can get really bad pufferfish RNG and just have absolutely nowhere to go, and especially the yellowfish plus turtle combo, which can be an absolute nightmare to get through. Now, it's also time to mention that Kala has the most amount of health out of every boss in the game, so these phases last forever. Her second phase is easily the worst, as yup, RNG comes back. Kala will turn into Medusa, which is super cool in my opinion, but her main attack is a stoning attack which freezes you in place, with the only way becoming free is to mash 22 buttons as fast as possible. All while these eels will shoot bullets at you. Are you seeing the problem here? Kala can sometimes just freeze you right when a bullet is going straight towards you. Now, this isn't much of a problem playing the boss normally, but Hitless is miserable with RNG, which we will get into later. Oh, spoilers. Her third phase sees her head being dismembered, and you fly into this coral cavern, which is so much fun in my opinion. I also find her stoning attack to not be as deadly, as you can relatively predict where the most optimal area to be stoned is to get out to avoid the spike walls or the green skull attacks. I personally love this final phase and is possibly my favorite final phase in the whole game. It's just so unique and focuses on pure flying skill, which, as I've said with Cal, is some of my favorite gameplay. And with that, that's Kala Maria defeated.
Man, okay. Wow. Oh. Let's go. A-. Nice. Kala Maria, done. She was pretty hard.
While Kala did take me around 30 minutes, I really like a lot of her gameplay, and her design is really cool. That's it. It's really cool. So yeah, with that, let's head on to our final boss in Aisle 3, the Phantom Express and Railroad Wrath. Okay, look, I'm just gonna be blunt. I do not like the Phantom Express. I know that this is a pretty popular boss, but I just dread going to fight this train. Now, kinda like Sally, I really love the theme of the boss. Fighting multiple sections of the train is so creative, and I love the spooky theme of the level. The song also for this boss is absolutely one of, if not my possible favorite song in the entire game. However, the gameplay is just not that great. The first phase is pretty boring with the blind inspector, and you'll notice immediately that we are restricted with our platforming due to this stupid cart. I personally despise this gameplay mechanic, especially with the stupid pumpkins that drop ingots onto the cart, which will move it from side to side. My strategy for this first phase is to stand on the side and blast spread, which takes care of the eyes while keeping damage up to the inspector, while parrying the falling ingots, which took me a while to get used to, believe me. Because like I said all the way back in the root pack, parrying things from below is a much trickier timing than parrying things from above. The second phase is facing off against the conductor, which is a pretty easy phase. Just track the conductor and that's it. I also like to use Chaser with this fight, as I am just really bad at the next two phases. The third phase are these lollipop ghosts. I despise this phase. I loathe this phase. I hate this phase so much. These stupid ghosts are so annoying, as I constantly find myself shooting them right over the side of the cart, and trying to get good damage on these stupid lollipop ghosts is so annoying, and this phase just really sucks, and I don't think it's fun difficult. After that is the final phase where you fight the train, and this phase I don't hate. I actually kind of like this phase. It's just really difficult, and I find myself needing the chaser weapon again. And with that, that's the Phantom Express defeated.
Tough. Oh, let's go. Wow, that's a long boss. Holy. Alright, well, sweet.
As I stated earlier, I personally just do not have fun fighting this boss. The Express took me a little under 30 minutes, and man, I just don't like this one, to be honest, so let's just move on. Oh wait, that's Inkwell Isle 3 done. We gotta keep up the tradition of doing the ranking from easiest to hardest, so it goes as follows. Captain Brinybeard, then Werner Vermin, then Sally Stageplay, then Phantom Express, then Cala Maria, then Dr. Cal's Robot, and then, as we will get to later, but I'm just putting it here for now, in my opinion, the hardest boss in Isle 3 is Rumor Honeybottoms. Now, from my least favorite to my favorite is Rumor, the Phantom Express, Sally, Werner, Cala Maria, Brinybeard, and easily my favorite is Dr. Cal. With Isle 3 done, we just have 2 bosses left, heading in to Inkwell Hell. Inkwell Hell is home to the final 2 bosses of the game, King Dice, and of course, the Devil. And can I just say, the music and atmosphere of Inkwell Hell is simply perfect. So, let's head to the penultimate boss, King Dice, and all bets are off. King Dice is the most unique boss in the game, where he has 9 different mini-bosses. However, you only have to fight 3 of them depending on how accurate you can roll the dice. One in the range of 1 to 3, another in 4 to 6, and then the last in 7 to 9. Because I didn't exactly know what bosses were on each number, we're just going to go through all of them, unless I didn't ever play them, which I'll be sure to call out for. I did indeed play number 1, the Tipsy Troop. These guys are, in my opinion, the hardest King Dice mini-boss. I never beat them, but I'll just say they overwhelm you very easily. 2 is Chips Bettigan, who was my main choice for this group, and can I just say I love the background on this particular boss and the name, Chips Bettigan? So good, man. As for the boss itself, it's insanely easy. Just dodge his split attacks. 3 is Mr. Wheezy. Mr. Wheezy has a great start and ending animation, but as for the boss, it's pretty tricky, especially the fireballs he spits out. They can be very hard to dodge, especially when he does 3 fireballs. I know that there is a pattern to them and you can learn it, but I just simply didn't know it. And when he switched sides, it truly reminds me why Smoke Bomb is the greatest to ever do it. 4 is Pip and Dot, which I briefly played and immediately died, but I promise you they're not too bad. 5 is Hoppus Pocus, who was my main choice in this group. He is really easy as long as, again, you have Smoke Bomb, as his main attack is this skull, which you can just dash out of. His parry attack is not bad unless you're jumping into the parry, because like I said with Phantom Express, jumping from below to parry something is way trickier. 6 is Fear Lap, who is the only one I never truly played, so moving on. 7 is Piruletta, who I thought was really hard because I failed my smoke dash timing on her and assumed that I couldn't dash through her. But you can actually smoke dash through her, and I'm just bad. But I never played her again, so that's all I'll say. 8 is Mangosteen, who I thought was tricky, but I failed to realize that you can just jump straight into him and spam your spread shot. So that makes him kind of free. And finally, 9 is Mr. Chimes, who most people seem to hate, but I personally like the creativity of the memory game. I mean, I don't like him, I just think he's pretty creative. He is pretty easy, but he does just take forever, and he was actually, funny enough, my pick on the winning run of this boss, which, for the record, I tried every boss from 7 and 9. Once again, I just so happened to win on Mr. Chimes. Now, once you go through the entire board, King Dice himself is probably the hardest part of the fight, especially if you're not good at parrying, which at this time, I wasn't. He took me a couple tries, but as long as you can use your invincibility and spam your spread shot, you should be able to take care of him pretty quick. And with that, I defeated the penultimate boss, King Dice.
Piece of shit. 2 hit points left too. Oh my god, let's go. Oh my god. Oh my god, let's go. Wow. Shit. That's insane, baby. King Dice done. Oh my god, I only have one boss left.
King Dice, believe it or not, only took me roughly 20 minutes, and I personally just don't find him to be that hard. Totally unlike our final boss in the entire game, the Devil, in one hell of a time. The Devil is the final boss of Cuphead, and for some reason, I see a lot of players think that he's not that hard of a boss. Well, I totally disagree. I think the Devil is a fantastic final fight that utilizes a ton of platform challenges. His first phase is, in my opinion, the hardest phase. The Devil can use multiple different attacks. The easiest is his Chinese dragon attack, where he'll just stretch across the screen, so just move all the way over. Next is his spider head attack, where he'll drop his head down and you just have to dodge it. Not too bad. His next two attacks, though, are the reason I think this phase is so difficult. He'll spin his trident and summon one of three attacks: balls, spinning fire, and then homing fire. The balls and homing fire are not too horrible to dodge, but can still be pretty hard. But the freaking spinning fire is so annoying and will stay on screen for so long, and its pattern is horrible. Especially if he does his next attack right after his freaking goat attack. He will stretch his arms across the screen, and you will have to perfectly time a jump to dash and dodge it. This was, in my opinion, for this time, the hardest attack to dodge in the entire game. Yeah, I said it. Now, this was because I was just not good, but I promise you, as we will see later, it does get consistent. After this phase, you jump down this hole into the easiest phase of the fight, in my opinion. His phase is massive, which, for one, looks awesome, and you have to shoot his eyes. He'll spawn either parryable bombs or axes, both of which are pretty easy to avoid. You just gotta watch out for the falling poker chips from above. Next phase, though, is also ridiculously difficult. He'll spawn a bunch of minions, and I immediately would take out the big purple beast and try to take out the little flying minions. I would usually pop my invincibility here, as this phase can be really long and can get really overwhelming. After that, he'll start crying, and you'll have to jump around the falling poker chips, which can actually be a pretty difficult timing if you're not used to it. But yeah, that's the Devil completed, and that's Cuphead beaten.
Oh, I just beat Cuphead. I just beat it. Every boss. Holy fuck. That Devil can suck. Oh my god. Oh my god. And I'm about to run out of time on this camera session. It's about to cut out. So is this one. Oh my god.
The Devil took me around an hour to beat, and wow, we're done. Just for fun, I think King Dice is miles easier than the Devil, and I also like the Devil more than King Dice. I also had to find the last few coins around to finish buying everything in Porkrind's shop to get that nice 100%. Well, I guess now it's time to rank every boss. To save time, this is the full list from easiest to hardest, but I will actually read out the list of ranking every boss from my least favorite to my favorite. 19, Rumor Honeybottoms. 18, The Phantom Express. 17, Goopy Legrande. 16, Sally Stageplay. 15, Baroness von Bonbon. 14, Ribian Croaks. 13, The Root Pack. 12, Hildeberg. 11, Werner Vermin. 10, Beppy the Clown. 9, King Dice. 8, Grim Matchstick. 7, Cala Maria. 6, Captain Brinybeard. 5, The Devil. 4, Wally Warbles. 3, Cagney Carnation. 2, Jimmy the Great. And my favorite boss in Cuphead, Dr. Cal's robot. Now, you might have noticed that the video's not done yet. Well, if you were paying attention to my winning of every boss, you would notice that there is a grade letter that you get for beating every boss. It's calculated by the time, with most bosses needing to be defeated in under 2 minutes. You need to do it hitless, need to get at least 3 parries, and you need to use 6 of your super meter cards. And you need to beat it on regular to get both skill level stars. And when I beat the game, something bothered me, that I didn't A+ all of the bosses. So, I decided my time here wasn't done. It's time to go back and rebeat every single boss, this time A+ing every single one. Now real quick, I want to mention that before these recordings, I had gotten significantly better at the game because I actually rebeat the whole game on a separate save file and was able to get at least an A on every boss. But with the exception of a couple, which I'll point out, I was never able to beat a lot of them hitless. Now, let's go through my attempts in full, A+ing every single boss in Cuphead. Okay, now before you panic, I will obviously not be going into crazy specifics on the bosses all over again. Only certain strategies that I learned from 1, rewatching the Bones 5's video, and 2, from my, getting a lot better at the game through replaying it as I already stated. Now of course some of those bosses I don't really have any new strategies for, like the Root Pack or Goopy Legrande, simply because they're not that hard and I've just gotten better, so I A+ them pretty easily. The first big difference on this journey is me having Roundabout on the Ribby and Croaks fight, which did make it easier, yes, but this fight was still kind of a hassle for me, but I managed to take him down.
Bro, how? Thank you, Jesus. I don't even know if I made the time, bro. Well. Fuck. Thank God. Yay. Okay, Ribby and Croaks, A+.
I also knocked out the 2 running gun stages, which compared to the hell of the last one, Perilous Piers, wasn't too much of a challenge. Next was Hildeberg, and I actually was able to beat her on my second try, only taking a hit once during her Taurus phase.
Okay. Wow, she's pretty easy. She's pretty easy, man. I don't know if I made the time, though, because she's a long one. Still got the A+. I don't care. It gave me the A+.
Funny enough, I actually didn't make the time, but I still got an A+, which seems to be a bug in the game because that also, spoiler, happened to Dr. Cal back when I beat him on my first playthrough, which you could have noticed back if you were paying attention. Next and finally in Aisle 1 is Cagney Carnation. He was actually pretty challenging for me too, taking me about 15 minutes. His Seed and Acorn phases were just still tripping me up, but I eventually was able to A+ Cagney.
Oh my God.
Starting Aisle 2 is Baroness von Bonbon. I really don't have much to say other than my skill in aiming my charge shots has gotten so much better. Getting the parries was also really annoying though, because sometimes the jelly beans can just not spawn. So much so that I literally beat the fight hitless but only got 1 parry.
She literally didn't send out a single parry jelly bean that entire round.
Not only that, but I beat it again, but missed 1 super meter card because for some reason the charge shot EX doesn't count for a super meter point, which I didn't know. This is such a stupid feature of the game that I just don't understand. If there's a reason and someone knows it, please tell me in the comments. But after 20 minutes, I was able to get it done.
If something went wrong there, I'm going to lose my mind. Thank you. Okay.
Next was Jimmy, which I got on my 4th try, taking 2 hits on phase 1 and stupidly 1 on phase 2.
I should have made the time. That was a really good run of Jimmy. Woo! Nice. Well done. He did not take me long at all. He literally took me like 5 minutes. Baby, I love that boss. That boss is so much fun.
Funfair Fever run and gun took me 15 minutes, but got it done. Then with Wally, I ended up getting him on my second try, only taking a hit on, ironically, the easiest phase, phase 2.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I just murked Wally and like, that was like my third try. Did I make the time? And I made the time. Jesus, somebody just give it to me. Give it to me.
Now, you might be like, but phase 3 and 4 were so hard the first time, how did you do it so fast? Well, the bones taught me some crazy strats, first of all explaining the exact pattern to do for Willy, and then to save a nuke to blast through Wally in phase 4 to avoid RNG and damage, which is way more consistent than dropping bombs like I did on my first playthrough. This strategy, learning the strategy also kind of makes Wally one of the easier bosses in the game for me, as I just find him to be incredibly consistent now, and I rarely take hits on him on repeat playthroughs. So yeah, there's my next A+. Next, Beppy, who is pretty easy honestly, using something called phase manipulation in phase 1. It's basically a trick where you can damage a boss's future phase while you're still in the previous phase. So like with Beppy, he takes 6 charge shots to be taken down. However, he can only transition into his second phase after he hits the screen. So if you hit him 5 times with the charge shot and then wait for him to scooch across, he can't transition. Then you can just deal a ton of damage to him going past his damage threshold, which will then equate damage into his second phase, making the second phase much quicker and much easier. So yeah, by doing that and also actually timing the invincibility correctly, I got Beppy on my third try.
Hey, I just beat Beppy. I just did it. My camera died in the middle of the winning run. I don't know when it died, but my camera literally just died.
The next run and gun wasn't too bad, and I got it done in about 10 minutes. Finally, in Aisle 2, we have Grim. The hardest thing by far about mastering an A+ in Grim is getting the parries. As I mentioned earlier, you can only get parries from his I-ring attacks, which are rare to get than the fireball attack, it feels. I mean, the fight does start with the I-ring attack, but you commonly only get 2 volleys of this attack, missing that third parry, forcing you to restart the fight if you don't get that third parry. But yeah, other than that, I was able to beat phase 3 on my first try and get my A+ on everything in Aisle 2.
That took less time than the fucking run and gun. Oh my god. Did I make the time? Bang. Oh my god, yes. Whew. Oh my god.
Next is Aisle 3 heading into Rumor Honeybottoms. Sort of like Grim, a lot of the challenge in this fight is getting the parries, which are only really in phase 1 in a really awkward maneuver where you have to perform to get them. They are a little easier in phase 2 with the pink ball attack, and you can also get them from the triangle attack, which I didn't even know on this second playthrough. Also, it is at this point in time when I was able to update my boss ranking with the difficulty, with Rumor now taking that #1 spot for the hardest boss in Cuphead in my opinion. With almost every other fight, you can get incredibly consistent at them. However, with Rumor, the platform RNG, as I mentioned earlier, can sometimes put you in unwinnable situations, and this is the only boss, maybe aside from Calamaria, that can just kill you because it feels like it. Thankfully, I got extremely lucky and A+ this boss in only 5 minutes.
Should be good. That should be, unless the lobber doesn't count for a super meter card. Come on, please. Wow. Again, that one did not take me that as long as I thought. Wow, I'm just pretty good at this game now. Okay.
Next, Werner Vermin, for some reason, took me about 10 minutes. This boss is pretty easy, but for some reason, I was just playing phase 1 really shitty, but I eventually got it done.
Yeah, now you give me the fucking ghosts.
Next was my favorite running gun, which again isn't even close in difficulty as the other one in Aisle 3, so I was able to A+ it in a little less than 10 minutes. Next was going to be Dr. Cal until I realized I actually already A+'d him on my first playthrough, even though I missed the time, just like Hildebert. So I guess I don't need to do it, but I'll still go over the much better strategy real quick for you guys. So you start out with the antenna, just break it. When you go down, finish out these dudes, then you go up, finish the antenna, then you drop back down, shoot 2 EXs into the vent, then you go up, parry the thingy-majiggy, shoot 1 EX into the stomach vent, take out the stomach vent, then just shoot the heart. Then, when it starts to phase 2, you go up, use your nuke right at the start, and then you basically skip that whole phase, and then phase 3 is just, again, there's no strategy, it's just trial and error and endurance. So yeah, there's Dr. Cal, summed up. Okay, next is Sally Stageplay, and holy shit, I am actually just so bad. This is, as you all know, not that difficult of a boss, but for some reason, this motherfucker took me nearly 20 minutes. I don't know why every phase here was giving me trouble, especially for the parries, which, like Grim and Rumor, can be very annoying to get all 3, especially with how rare they seem to be on phase 4. Anyways, I did indeed get it done, and next up is the Phantom Express.
Any day now. I don't think I made the time. Just because I just got unlucky with the parries. That's crazy. You know, I really hate that one. I don't like Sally.
I don't really have any new strats for the Phantom Express. I actually beat this boss in under 10 minutes, but didn't make the time and didn't get all 6 super meters. But then I literally beat it on the next attempt, so we're good. My main change is that I actually used Charge Shot like a pro this time in phase 3 and 4, because I'm not bad at the game anymore, so yeah.
Come at me, bitch. That was so good. Oh my god. And I made the time. Thank you. Okay.
Next is Cala Maria, and she also took me less than 10 minutes, only really getting hit in her hardest phase, phase 1, and only once in phase 2 and 3 each. Don't really have any new strategies other than to just be good, I guess. I mean, there is a strategy where you use your nuke right at the start of phase 2 to skip all the RNG, but for some reason I was really inconsistent at this strategy, so don't know how good I am at it. Then the final run and gun, Perilous Piers, the hardest one by far, which I was absolutely dreading, somehow only took me about 10 minutes. Maybe I'm just better, who knows?
I despise that level.
Next is Briny Beard, and yeah, I beat him on my first try. The final phase, like I mentioned earlier, can be completely skipped and cheesed basically, which is just so much fun. And yeah, that's Aisle 3. Only 2 bosses left!
It's a pretty easy fight, man. It's a pretty damn easy one.
I mean, it's pretty easy. Okay.
King Dice is simply an easy boss in my opinion. As long as you get the easiest mini bosses, I beat him on my 3rd try, accidentally taking a hit on Chip's bed again like an idiot. Hey, this is Editor Birdie here. I did not take a hit on Chip's bed again. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I thought I did, but no, I did not take a hit on Chip's bed again. So yeah, back to the video. And then literally accidentally leaving the boss fight after I paused the game after taking a hit, even though I still had 3 hits left, and then accidentally nudged my joystick to leave instead of hitting continue. So yeah, King Dice has never been too bad for me, so there's our penultimate A+.
How are you not dead? Thank you. Alright. Just one more left.
Finally, the devil honestly didn't take me that long somehow, taking me about 10 minutes. Yes, half the time of Sally f***ing stage, but who somehow probably took me the longest out of every boss in the game to rebeat. The only phases that are actually hard for me is phase 1 and 3. In fact, I did beat the boss, but I got hit right at the end twice, and then came back and beat him on my 3rd try. Like I said, his first phase does get consistent, especially with the goat slam, but still a difficult boss.
Oh my god. Did I do it? Is that A+, everyone?
And there it is. Cuphead regular mode, fully 100%. A+, 100%. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for watching this journey. This is easily the most I have worked on a video, and I would love to make more videos for Cuphead. Mainly for the next one, I really want to do the DLC. Like right now, as I'm reading the script, this is off script, but I am dying to play the DLC because it just looks so much fun. But I have to get this video out before I make a video for the DLC because that makes no sense. And then, of course, the final part of my Cuphead journey is I will be doing everything on Expert in one video. But don't worry, I've also been subtly practicing for a certain challenge that I won't reveal to you yet. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!